And here he is, the columnist with the Province in Postmedia, covering the Vancouver Canucks, the one and only PJ Patrick Johnston. How are you?
Just sign here, here, and here. And it's all yours.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a particular car share service that obviously has lots of Priuses.
So you know it. Yes, there you go.
That I often take to drive across town to go out cover the Whitecaps. I'm thankful on this pouring Thursday.
Yeah.
I'm going to Whitecaps practice today.
And Blake, who are we kidding? Like, if that decision is being made in the House, that's a Candace decision.
Yeah, I apologize to Candace for stopping at capo level. I should have gone to the boss.
That's right. He makes recommendations. She makes decisions.
I just work here, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Thatcher Demko is lost week to week. Is the season lost as well, Peach?
No, because stranger things have happened.
Correct answer.
But listen, it's been well detailed how well he's played. But the thing to remember is what that has meant in the big picture. Like, this is a team that gives up too many chances, that has struggled defensively, and he's bailed them out by being just consistently very, very, very solid. And as a player, as a goalie, like, you can't replace that. Like, Kevin Lankinen will be fine, but he won't be as good. And that's the simple truth. And Yuri Patera is a total unknown right now because they don't have Nikita Tolopilo, the guy that they actually like. So, I mean, that's what I found. I mean, I know we're recording right now as we were discussing, like, maybe Spencer Martin comes back, but like, the truth is that nobody is going to be able to play to the standard of Demko. And that's the challenge. Is that they've been too porous defensively. He's helped them not look porous defensively, and they don't score enough goals to outscore their problems. I mean, as I detailed last week, the math on the special teams is not good, but 5-on-5, the math is not good either. So that's the simple truth.
Do you play Yuri Patera on this 3-game in 4-night road trip, or do you say we think Kevin Lankinen can get through it all?
Have you guys noticed how few goals the Florida Panthers have scored? Like,
they're missing some guys there, but yeah.
I mean, it sounds funny to do it against the defending Stanley Cup champs, but if there's a game that you are less anxious about in relative terms, I think it's that one. 43 goals this year for Florida, which is among the lowest in the league. So, week to week is what I'm hearing on Demko. I mean, it could be as short as 2 weeks, like, which means, you're getting through 5 games, I think, or 6 games. JPAT did the math on. The thing is that you probably need to start from a non-Lankinen goalie somewhere in here. The good news is that, the back-to-back thing is not as challenging as it used to be. Goalies are just better prepared, and fitness is better, and the data that we used to lean on was like 15 years old. And I've talked to people in the years since, and they're like, no, if you're smart about it, in general, if you play at home, it's a lot easier, obviously. Now, the nice thing is that the trip from Tampa to Fort Lauderdale is not very long.
And you get 2 hours extra because the second game is later than the first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, you're getting home. You're getting to your hotel in Tampa. Like, the airport's the hotel in Florida in Fort Lauderdale is not far from the airport. In fact, your trip from downtown Tampa to the Tampa airport is probably the longest part of your journey. Yeah. So, you could easily go back to back with Lankinen here, but the fact is he's going to be playing against a high volume team on Friday. I keep forgetting why I think it's Thursday. Anyway, on Friday in Carolina, like, he's going to face a ton of shots. That's just the truth. That's how Rod Brind'Amour's team plays. So it's on the back of that. Like, how much recovery does he need for the third game in 4 nights? I have a hard time, like I said, seeing. I think. I mean, this is just my gut. I have no info on this, but I think I would not be surprised to see Patera play, say, in Florida.
1 game in 5 days after that point, by the way. So
exactly.
There's recovery time.
Yeah.
They have been a little looser than I expected they would be this year, and some of that is by design with what Foote has wanted his team to do, and defenseman pinching, and he outlined some of this in preseason and training camp when he was talking more and more about how he likes to play.
Yeah.
I've been a little surprised because, of course, 2 years ago they had that fantastic, 5-skater, 6-man defensive posture that served them so well. I thought that was going to be something that Foote leaned on because he was a defensive defenseman and because that was the strength of the hockey team. But they haven't been like that. They haven't played like that for the most part through 18 games. Patrick, I'm not sure we would enjoy watching all of this, but tactically, is it time to park the bus, so to speak?
Bring back Rick Tocchet. Yeah, I mean, the moment Adam Foote started talking about wanting his guys to play on reads, I was thinking, ooh, boy. Like that is a very demanding way to play, and I'm not even sure there's a lot of teams that can get away with it anymore. You need a really high quality hockey smart defense core, and obviously Quinn Hughes is that guy. Marcus Pettersson, when he's playing well, and he has not been playing well, can be that guy. Tom Verlander clearly is getting in that direction, slowly but surely turning himself into, I think, an NHL regular. Tyler Myers, listen, you guys know I'm a big believer in Tyler Myers. I know he is not perfect, and that when he makes a mistake, it is spectacular, partly because he is so large, and so you notice. But he is a guy who himself will tell you he has not been successful in read environments. Like when the Tocchet stuff first started locking in terms of their breakouts and what he was demanding of his players in terms of where they needed to be, Myers would tell you it was great because he would just look up. He didn't have to think. He didn't have to, he could just look up. There's the guy where he's supposed to be at the pass. And so that part of the game that they've struggled at times has not surprised me. Can they sit back? I mean, yes, absolutely. To take the punishment, play the rope-a-dope. I think the truth is that they've actually it's weird. They've done a decent job of limiting shots from the inside. What they've sucked at was the cross-ice pass, right? Like think of all the backdoor goals against, Tyler Bertuzzi just sitting at the back door was such a statement about what the Canucks have been giving away. But when they break down, it obviously is pretty spectacular. And again, that Chicago game was a great example of that, where they were kind of in the driver's seat and they were playing smart, and then one thing went wrong and there was cascade problems everywhere. So I'm not sure in the end sitting back really is going to be the way forward. If this team is going to play better, they just have to play better. And their defensemen have to figure out what's going on better.
I don't think it's systems as much as just underperformance by the individuals, don't you? I mean, these are players that when you're that deep, and let's take the Bertuzzi goals as an example, there's a lot more instinct than it is true system when you're down to those critical areas. And I'm amazed that these guys with these resumes have been so porous.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because it doesn't feel like the kind of tire fire that Bruce Boudreau's team was defensively does it though, right? It's a different way. It's just, I think as much as anything, it's a struggle to retain possession of the puck. Mm-hmm. It's almost like a rate thing as much as anything, that they're simply, the comparison of football is so often is who had the ball last, right? Like how are you scoring at the same rate as your opponent? Did you get the last possession? Right. Yeah. And right now the Canucks, it feels like in a way they're simply losing possession too much, which was a big Tocchet thing, right? Like that's part of the reason why shot suppression is so notable in like Rick Tocchet coached game, is that he does not want his team to give up the puck. And the Canucks have been, I think, guilty too often of not finding ways. And Adam Foote talked about this, I think last week when I asked him about it, not directly, but he talked about the challenges they're having offensively in there's too many one and dones, right? Like they go in, they get a chance, then they lose the puck, and then they're back at the other end. The other team gets a couple shots, and that has been a thing that's been the real problem. And that is a forward personnel problem, and and that does not surprise us. I mean,
No,
obviously
exactly.
they're lacking a true number 2 center. Like, the Pettersson line has been playing pretty well and have been retaining possession well, but there's not a lot of other examples that in the there's not a lot of sort of examples of other guys doing that. That this is a team that fundamentally needs to find a way to keep the puck more. And so it's not so much sitting back and letting the other team bash away at your shin pads. I think it's, as much as anything, it's a team that needs to find a way to hold on to the puck when they're in the offensive zone. So they're just playing up ice more. Like, that to me is where they need to be.
Hughes leaves. Hughes comes back. Hughes not at practice today, according to Dan Murphy.
Right.
He played great when he came back, so that is surprising to some degree.
Yeah. It's obviously a huge concern, and I mean, I wrote about this. This is West. What did he say? Weird play, right?
Yeah, weird play.
And that was it. Like, okay, did you jam your nerve? Like, what's going on here? There's a guy that obviously everybody needs to be at his best, even if he's not at his best. You know what I mean? And we saw the amount of minutes he's been playing. Obviously, we assume the groin is a problem there. Like, that's soft. I mean, I find myself wondering, given the task at hand and everything we just discussed, right? Goalie you're trying to reduce the pressure on. You need to hang on the puck more. Well, what's the solution there? You give Quinn Hughes as much ice time as he can get. So if I'm thinking optimistically, the reason why he is being given a day off is because they just need him to rest, and all they need to do is play games, and he doesn't need to practice. It's a little bit what they could have said last Friday with Demko saying, well, let's be honest, there's a lot of games here. He's had a lot of wear and tear. He's feeling a bit sore, so we should give him a rest, and he doesn't need to practice. That would be the message that I would articulate were I the Vancouver Canucks. It's we'll see. I guess we'll see how this shakes out, but it's definitely not an easy time for the Vancouver Canucks. That's for sure.
No. It's early. He's a young defenseman. I suspect he still has a very long and promising NHL career ahead of him. I want to talk about DPD for a second.
Sure.
He's the worst Corsi amongst regulars on the team at less than 43.
Yeah.
We know he's never going to be a big points guy, but it's 2 points in 17 games.
Yeah.
And they're not even using him all that much. Like, I thought one of the things that Foote and this staff would do is, because the defense core looks so strong, is, play that third pair a little bit more and save some of the legs on Hughes and Roenick. Like, this was a guy that some in Canucks fans considered like untouchable in the summer when you're looking for a second line center. This has been his start to his, to be fair, first full NHL campaign. You got a concern level creeping in here. Is this guy maybe not who we thought he was going to be, or is it just too young, early, give him time?
Yeah, a little nervous, like, especially as he's not really found a way to right himself this season. It is a little bit of a case of a player who I think maybe is struggling for confidence a little bit. Obviously, new system, as we've already talked about. Being asked to be a guy. I mean, he's not a puck mover, right? Like, his puck skills are good enough to be in the NHL, sure, but he's not there to move pucks. He's there to be belligerent and difficult, and he hasn't even really been that. And that's what worries me more than anything. So is he lost? Is he not getting enough direction? He had a really good start last spring, and then obviously the team wasn't playing that great. Overall, I thought he struggled a little bit down the stretch. Maybe just a case of the first long North American season. But yeah, like, I still, like, clearly I think there's still a player there, but this is the truth, is that most guys are just kind of in this mushy middle of the sort of NHL player population, and most of them are not going to be stars. And not that he was ever a star coming up. Like he's a great kid to talk to. I've always appreciated chatting with him, and I think he's very conscious and very aware of who he is as a player and what he brings to the table. That said, he still needs to be more than he's been, and if Derek Forbort comes back, which we assume will be soon, but you never know. That's an easy choice there. He's probably fortunate right now that Pio Joseph has not exactly shown himself to be a high quality alternative when he's played. But no, the Canucks need more from him. And overall, the defense core has slipped. Like that's the irony in all this. We talk so much about how great the defense core has been, but even if they're being asked to play a system that is more challenging, they need to be better than they've been. Like that's just
there was a play on Tuesday. Jeff pulled it out saying like the puck's in the corner, short area defending. Like that should be his game, right? And yet the puck gets to the net front.
I'm going to read 2 headlines from today, and maybe headlines is overstating them. I'm just going to read them, and you can provide comments if you see fit. David Kampf being bought up for the purposes of mutual termination, penalty killing center. And Igor Sharangovich, a healthy scratch in year 1 of a 5-year contract extension, paying him $5.75 in Calgary left shot center as well. Just presenting there. Any comments, sir?
I mean, they do need more centers. Like, there's no doubt about that. Are either of these guys really going to solve the problem? I'm not sure.
But they'd be solving 2 different problems potentially in the blue sky world.
Camp, 4th line center. Is he better than Max Sasson? I don't know. Is he better than Niels Oman? Probably.
He kills penalties without a doubt better than Max Sasson. Yeah. Like he is a certified top level NHL penalty killer.
As we talked about yesterday,
terrible 5-on-5.
As we talked about yesterday, when Garland and Pettersson and Sherwood are amongst your heaviest used penalty kill forwards, and you still stink. You're A, not getting results. B, you're taking stuff out of them on the offensive end.
You may use him.
This is why 4th liners kill penalties.
He might be the specialist that barely sees 5-on-5 ice if you bring him in. But, anyway.
Yeah. So sure. And you're probably getting him for next to nothing. And so it's, it's a hard throw, right? Sharangovich, if you're talking about another dart throw and saying, hey, maybe he can help fix our center depth problem. Is he better than Lucas Reichel? I don't know.
Yes, he is better than Lucas. He is unequically better than Lucas.
Yeah,
he's done it. He's done it.
Sorry, he's got a 30-goal season. Yeah. He's got a 24-goal season.
I'm saying I don't know in the general sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying I'm not sure in the general sense. Sure, why not? I don't know. He's better than I think. Clearly better than Reichel. Reichel has struggled. Reichel has beautiful skater. Loves watching him stick handle. He hasn't been able to bury any chances. So, he's, I suppose, worth a shot if you can bring him in for whatever. But
Sharangovich, I think, is going to cost you something substantial, even if that contract looks daunting. He apparently was healthy scratched once last year as well. So
after he'd signed the deal, but it hasn't kicked in yet.
Camp costs you nothing, whereas Sharangovich, I think you're actually going to have to part with something substantial. Because Calgary can just, he's 27. Calgary can just hold on.
Yeah, he's fine. I think he's fine. I get why, he's obviously scored some goals and I get it. And fundamentally, here's a guy that has not produced. He was a decent enough player on a not very good team last year. A pretty good team on I can't even remember what they were like in 23, 24. They didn't make playoffs, but he's been a pretty solid NHLer. If he's available, sure, take a shot. I get it. I don't know. In the end, this is a team that needs to find guys that are better than what they have. If they're going to they have to get better, and that they need to find guys that are better than what they have. That's the kind of player that absolutely you should be looking at. Reichel was a shot in the dark. They traded a 4th round. He didn't cost them very much. He was a sort of a busted, he's in that Vitaly Kravtsov category, right? Busted prospect. let's see if we can pick him up for cheap. Maybe we can try something different. But most of the time, those guys don't work out anyway because the first team was right in their assessment. Sharangovich, yeah, handy player, that's fine. Like, sure, see if you can bring it in.
But cost of acquisition would be the question.
That's the stay in it trades. I saw you wrote on Rebuild on the weekend, and
well,
I learned some things.
Yeah.
I knew the Canucks had a deal for Kessler to Anaheim that involved multiple first round picks that Francesco squashed. I've heard from people in that room who say he sort of buried his face in his hands and then emerged and said, "I'll convince Ryan to stay." Sure enough, he didn't. I also knew that they had their eyes on Dylan Larkin with one of those first-round picks if that deal had gone through. I did not know about the Burrows deal to Philadelphia for a first-round pick that year.
It was funny because I'd actually kind of written about all this last spring, but I guess the end of the year was so miserable that nobody noticed. The Burrows to Philly, that would have been like Travis Sanheim or something like that. Both Anaheim picks, Canucks pick. You got 4 picks in the first round. I mean, that changes the dynamic, and in a way, everyone seems to think a rebuild has to be a long, arduous process. Like, you would have had all those guys in the NHL probably by 2016, right? So you're running out a young lineup that's punching its way forward. You still would have had the Sedins, I didn't really put it out there as a sense of, wow, look what they blew. It was more like, rebuilds don't have to be painful, and they can happen quickly. To steal a former GMs, you can turn this thing around pretty quickly. That said, ownership's just never wanted to do that. That's just not how they've been. And in the end, look where it's gotten them. So the idea that this management team would turn around and say, no, we're just going to blow it all up. Like, they may have that hand forced on them, but they are not going to be able to say, this is something we are actively going to do. Fundamentally, they are trying to build a playoff team. And that is the task at hand. It's not just what they were hired to do. It's what they've been trying to do. And obviously they use the word transition, more of a transition team. I think it was the expression that was mentioned in preseason. But that's still fundamentally with the idea that this team would be in the playoffs, right? Like, we'll make the playoffs and we'll still keep building. We obviously have to find more talent up front. We have some decent defensemen in the system, but we got to find some forwards and some centers. Braden Coots could be one of those kids in the long run, but like, to become a true contender, that's a couple years away again. Like, we are pivoting ourselves away from what we thought we were a year ago. But that's, by the way, not a rebuild. And listen, rebuilds aren't the only way to do it. Like, you do not have to strip everything down to the studs. There are teams that have been able to pivot and
reload,
reload, or whatever you want to call it, right? But you still need to have. This is where to go back to our good friend Jason Botchford on the day the Botchford project gets relaunched. This is why you need an army of guys, because the idea that just you can have a handful of prospects and they're all going to hit and they're all going to become impactful players is foolish. You need a bunch of guys, and some of them are going to be better than you hope for, and most of them are probably going to be worse than you hope for. So,
what if those young guys are all
first-round picks? And none of them would have been Jake Virtanen, I can assure you.
What if all those young guys are playing behind injury-riddled veterans too? How does that work?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, anyway, the point is the Canucks are in a difficult spot. If they're not going to remain in the mushy middle, they do need some things to work out in their favor, and you need to keep throwing darts.
Pretty hopeful, but yes, if you're not going to rebuild, that's the only other way.
Yep. Okay, my friend, thank you for the time. You have a wonderful week. Great catching up, and we'll do so again next Thursday.
Absolutely.